Perhaps you enjoy
What is
both
up,
our
guys? It's
company?
Miggy, Miggy, and welcome to the first episode of the self titled series called MIGG Why. So it's gonna be mostly about gaming. So MIGG Why is gonna be gaming. We're gonna be breaking down different type different titles, but right now we're looking at Mobile Legends. And you know what they say, it's a new season, and what comes with a new season? A new patch. And with that being said, we're gonna be talking about the Marcel Patch, the newest roam slash tank that came into Mobile Legends Bang Bang. We're gonna go through the patch. I I'm not saying this is my first run through of the series, but this is gonna be the first time I'll be breaking it down and analyzing it deeply with you guys. And that's what we're gonna be doing for the first episode of the series MIGG Why. So with that being said, how do you guys look at the patch? You're gonna go to events. You're gonna go to the very bottom. You're gonna see patch notes. And there you have it. They actually changed the format a bit. This is not how the patch notes used to look like, but there you have it. We have a patch note coming from Moonton for Mobile Legends Bang Bang. A new season, a new ranked season comes with a new hero, Marcel. And so you guys could read it through with me. I will slightly edit our screen so that you can read as well as I am reading through it as well. So let's adjust here, slight adjustments here and there, and there we go. Let's adjust this slightly. So this is technically our pilot episode of MIGG Why, and I came up with a series as a way to talk about patch notes or games in general, or like a deeper, more competitive analysis of competitive online games, specifically MOBAs. But you never know, right? This is gonna be our pilot episode of said series, and let's go focus on that. So let's talk flow. We're gonna be reading through this whole patch notes together, and then I'll be sharing my 2 cents, my opinions, my thoughts on it. And without further ado, let's talk about it. So right off the bat, we get introduced to Marcel. Before I started recording this video, I actually played one game with Marcel and Clemar. Clemar is the camera, and let's just say I'm a bit underwhelmed with Marcel. A lot of people were theory crafting, oh, this hero is gonna be played in XP in mid and all. But from the get-go, it feels like the only way to play him properly is to put him in the roam position. And of course, again, these are my first impressions, my initial opinions. But of course, as more people play the game, they might understand the hero a bit more differently. It starts getting more complex, and that's when we start seeing if Marcel is really good or not. Because again, this is the first day of the patch release, and we have to wait and see before we get through it. So right off the bat, Marcel for me, after playing, I'm a bit underwhelmed because he has no damage. He has a lot of crowd control, yes, but it feels like he's still lacking that oomph or that extra kick or punch to actually make him meta changing or meta defying. So I think I'm getting ahead of myself, but let's go read through his skills. First, his passive, Platinum Snap. It allows him to snap photos of nearby enemy heroes, dealing true damage and granting a shield to Marcel and an allied hero. So basic attacks deal based on hybrid defense but cannot crit. Marcel cannot benefit from extra attack speed, and extra HP will be converted to hybrid defense. So right off the bat, we can see that Moonton is getting very experimental with Marcel's kit. I believe he is one of the few, or he might be the only one with his attacks or his skills that scale on hybrid defense. So that's both your physical and your magic defense. So if you look through it right from the get-go, you understand that he is basic attack reliant. But the issue is you cannot increase his attack speed And if you have extra HP, it will be converted to hybrid defense. So he's really meant to just play tanky. You're building tanky items on Marcel if you're playing Marcel. So next up is his skill 1, Framed Moment. Clemar focuses on an area around Marcel, slowing enemy heroes in range, and after a duration, he completes the shot, dealing AoE damage and immobilizing enemies. So this is his crowd control skill and his only damage skill. So what happens is there's like a small AoE that appears around him, sort of like Alice's AoE. But the difference is it does not deal damage over time. It does a more delayed impact or AoE damage, much like Uranus's kit. So again, this is his kit to have crowd control. This is his only skill that has damage. And well, it does have a delay. It does not have damage over time, but it has AoE damage, and then when it pops, it immobilizes for, I believe, 1 second. So this is your primary crowd control skill, especially in the early game. But this is also, and I guess this is your sort of access to poke, because it's the only damage dealing spell in Marcel's kit. Next up, skill number 2, Tracking Shot. Marcel enters the tracking haste state, gaining movement speed, which increases further when moving towards enemy heroes. Use again within the duration to dash in the direction. If Framed Moment is active, Clemar will remain at the original location. So this is his catch ability. So you get extra movement speed. It's an immediate sprint, I'd say. You could call it a sprint. And then once you click it again, you dash towards any direction you're pointing to. And it synergizes with his second skill, or rather, it has interaction with his second skill, is when you dash, the frame moment or that AoE that was around you from the initial cast will be left behind where you dashed from. So you could play around with this in a sense that once you get your speed boost up, you make sure that you make contact with your your opponent, and then you dash out or dash towards another location, thus leaving that immobilizing AoE on your opponent, and then it is a way for you to disengage as well. But if you mess it up, or if you aren't as confident with it or comfortable with it, it might be counterintuitive for you, and you might end up fumbling your combo chain. Next up, the ultimate. Marcel only has 3 skills. The ultimate is the Golden Hour. So after a short delay, Clemar takes a wide-angle shot from a target area, and it's a 3-second wide shot, putting all units in the area, both enemies and teammates, mind you, into stasis except Marcel. All targets in range are immobilized and immune to all damage and regen from anyone other than Marcel. So this is a weird interaction here, but I believe when I was playing him a while ago, I had an opponent. I was doing it in Classic. I had an opponent, Marcel. So when he does Golden Hour on me, I do not actually get affected. So I'm not put into stasis. And what's unique about this is even projectiles, Chang'e's ult, or basic attacks from your ranged carries or your marksmen, they actually go on pause when they land into or they get into the AoE. The thing about it is once it turns off, once the 3 seconds is done, it proceeds to go forward. So it proceeds to still go towards that direction. So it's a way for you to avoid damage. It's a way for you to disengage. But the crucial part here is both teammates and opponents get caught in the stasis for 3 seconds once you use the ultimate Golden Hour. So this could be very good if you are very coordinated with your team, but it's also a double-edged sword because chances are if you fumble and you Golden Hour majority of your team, you're just setting it up for a team wipe. And well, as it noted here, only Marcel is the only one capable of damaging anyone in stasis. Or all targets in range are immobilized and immune to all damage and regen from anyone other than Marcel. So I think that's why they say you run Revitalize on Marcel. Just because if there's a big team fight, everyone is caught in the crossfire. You put that down, you revitalize everyone, you basically reset the team fight. But yeah, from the kit, it seems like it on paper it makes sense. But for me, once I applied it, once I tried the hero out, I still felt like it was a bit lacking. My big concern is that it lacked damage. You are lacking the early game poke. A lot of the heroes or roams with a similar kit have early game. So from the get-go, if you've seen them, if you played them, the kit reminds me a lot of Carmilla. So take it as you will. So Carmilla has a stun, has an AoE, immobilize as well, but her regen, her poke, her sustain is just a lot more tanky. It just makes her a lot more tanky. But of course, it's just day one. Or as I'm reading through this is the first day of the patch. So we have to wait and see how people are going to be playing with this hero. Next up, of course, it's the patch itself. We're going to talk hero adjustments, battlefield adjustments, and then if anything, maybe system adjustments, but I feel like we're going to cut it at hero adjustments and battlefield adjustments. So, hero adjustments, a lot of the changes are leaning towards, I believe, the mid lane, actually. So, Obsidia, it just got balanced with low pick rate. To improve Obsidia's low pick rate, attack speed build, we've increased the growth of bone shard speed based on attack speed and attack. Okay. So it seems like they are pushing for the Trinity build on Obsidia because bone shard speeds have increased over time. And speed growth is for every 10% attack speed increase, bone shard speed by increases bone shard by 0.1. Okay. Bone shard damage is total physical attack. Inherits 70% attack effects. So this really goes hand in hand with Demon Hunter Sword. So this is a way for them to balance that out. So we might be looking at Obsidia from crit build. Might be transitioning or could be possibly played now as a Trinity builder. Moving on, we have Claude. Claude's issues, not much have changed except the ultimate. Honestly, Claude does not need any more buffs or nerfs. I feel like Claude is in a really good state right now, especially with how mobile or agile he is thanks to his battle mirror image. Moving on, Ixia got a nerf. We saw a lot of ranked games. If you guys have been playing ranked last season, Ixia tends to be an insta-ban solely because it's so hard to deal with her sustain. So Ixia's laning ability was too strong, so we reduced the base damage of skill 1 and reduced the HP regen from her passive when hitting non-hero units. So yeah, this is just a fix to the sustain, and it's very welcome. Next up is Eve. Honestly, Eve is like, in terms of rank, she's so-so because people have prioritized other scaling heroes. But in terms of like the competitive scene or tournament landscape, Eve is a very much prioritized pick. Not really first pickable, but first 3 picks, you'd probably see an Eve. They nerfed her stats, but they increased her shield. And oh, wait a minute. Okay, so they decreased the slow on her second skill, but they decreased the cooldown as well or late game. So this is a way, you know, Eve's gonna have a lot more spamming capabilities, and the ultimate, the 60% slow effect to 40 is very much needed because no one could deal with how much slow Eve's kit can offer and deliver. And moving on to Zushin. To align with adjustments to mage attributes and mana cost, we've reduced early and mid-game damage and wave clearing speed. Okay. Let's see. Ooh, okay. This is kind of a big hit on Zushin, okay? So it was they already reduced her early game damage. She already has a very slow wave clearing speed, but though it is a nerf, I feel like it's still Zushin is still gonna be played just because of her kit being able to outmaneuver heroes with her second skill. It's still very much needed. Though it did take us her damage took a toll. Her early game took a toll. Her late game is still, it still exists. It's still gonna hurt. Moving on to Farsa. So to align with the adjustment to mage attributes, okay, so this patch is very mid-centric, I believe, because everything is opening up with adjustment to mage attributes and mana cost. So with her early game damage has been nerfed. So her early game threat is nerfed, but then again, her early game is really just about the utility of her ulti. So it's gonna take a bit more time to get her online because her clearing speed, her early game burst is nerfed, but I don't think this is a particularly big nerf. Novaria, on the other hand, again, to align with mage attributes and mana cost, increase the slow effect of her first skill and the late game damage of her skill too. And this hurts, okay? This will hurt plenty. So the slow effect now gradually goes up with the damage being based, it's just 4% at all levels, but still, mana cost has been reduced, so she's gonna be more active, she's gonna be more online. And skill 2 is a lot more painful, and it already was, right? And mana cost it's a respectable nerf because if you have a free ulti and it does that, that's one extra skill to throw at the opponent, right? Moving on, Eudora. To align with the adjustment to mage attributes again. So every apparently all the mages are getting their attributes shifted around, and they're still trying to make Eudora very viable, or they're trying to make Eudora happen with her first skill just being spammable at 5 seconds. So okay, so that's not really competitively relevant. Moving on, Gord. Gord got a buff with an increase on his passive, and he hurts. Okay, guys, so his skill 1 is gonna be more spammable, and the early game mana cost was decreased, so we might be seeing Gord again, guys. Now moving on to a more competitive tournament pick, Lu Yi. She got nerfed. She's a bit softer. She's not as tanky as she used to be. Her passive got nerfed. They say base damage they lost 65, and but then it scales better. So the nerf is base damage went down, but the scaling is quote unquote better because they increased it by 5. So that would be at late game at 15. That's 15 times 20 is 300, 665 for the passive, and then on the other side it's 15, 600, 355 times 15 is 75, so that's 375. Oh, it actually, the math is mathing better because at level 15 you actually have an increase of 10 extra base damage. Moving on, skill 1 got buffed. It hurts a lot more early game. That's gonna be a hard thing to deal with. And her second skill as well, the mana cost got decreased, so be scared of early game Lu Yi or a Lu Yi in lane. It's not gonna be fun to lane against. With Kagura getting buffed, ooh, Kagura was a surprise pick last year, and when everyone started playing Kagura, and now she got a buff. Again, they rescaled her attributes. Skill 1 got the early game got buffed from 315 to 365. And then when holding the ultimate, when the base damage also got. Wait a minute, this is a weird one. So this is a rework. When holding the umbrella, her skills got her damage got weaker. The scaling and the base damage got weaker, but they made it spammable and more spammable from 4333 to 3630 with a mana cost being very affordable actually. 85 to 60. That's very affordable. So without the umbrella on the other hand, it got balanced also. The damage got lower, but again, it's more spammable. So Kagura, would I say this is a buff? The spammability of her skills is a definite buff, but she's known as a burst mage, so you're not really looking to. The damage is what's crucial here, but then they just made it. Oh, you can spam it multiple times now. But Kagura is known as the mage that ends engagements early. So if you don't have that, is it really a buff? If you're only there to, you could just spam, you could poke. From being a burst mage, or trying to convert Kagura into like a poke mage, I guess. Valentina, and well, we've seen this with the rise of Lucas's Sora. Valentina's been played on both XP and the mid lane, and this is, of course, there's a rebalance. First skill damage got scaled up. That's good, but the base damage of her second skill went down. Okay, so in terms of XP, what's this? XP Valentina is not affected, but mid Valentina is kind of affected. I'd say it's just a balance. I don't think it's a buff or a nerf. Nana, on the other hand, got buffed. They increased the cooldown of her first skill, which I'm glad. Oh no. Her second skill, the Molina spam, they made it much more annoying. 14.5 to 12 to 9. So be scared of Nana's Molina uptime, guys. It's pretty scary. You might just be hexed all throughout. You might be Molina'd all throughout the game. I'm so sorry, guys. So is Nana viable now? Possibly. If you're looking to just be a nuisance around the map, you might be picking Nana because of that change, that cooldown change for her skill 2. Cyclops, again, there is a change in attributes. Cooldown of first skill went down by a second, and early game damage got nerfed. With second skill, decay ratio was 60 to 90 to 60 to 80. With magic bonus being good, I'd say this is a definite buff. It might be a rebalance, but the buff is very much welcome. Aurora, on the other hand, to align with the adjustment, blah blah blah, we have reduced the cooldown of skill 2. This is okay, so not much change on the Aurora side. I guess the cause for concern here is not much. I think she's still not going to be played as much, but these are okay. These are very minor buffs. Vexana, on the other hand, not much change as well. Zask, not much has changed. Vale is looking to burst a lot more often now because the cooldowns on his skills are way down. And they did not decrease the damage much on his skills, except for the ultimate, but that's 100 base damage, so it's not really that big. But yeah, be scared of Vale. If you see a Vale, chances are his skills are gonna be up, and you're gonna get burst if you don't make sure that the bushes are safe. Faramis, they changed his ulti, which is basically what he is known for. But nothing much changed on Faramis. On Savior side, things are still looking okay, are normal. Valir, on the other hand, we might be seeing Valir a lot more because of the uptime on his first skill with the recharge going down the more levels you put into it. And not much aside from that. Chang'e, not much change as well. Odette, very similar still. But the shield, her early game shield on her ultimate is nerfed early, but still might not be played too often. Selena, not much change except mana cost. Lilia, mana cost is also a thing. Lunox, not much change, adjusted attributes. Kimmy, adjusted attributes. Kadita, adjusted. Cecilian as well. Zetian, got a nerf on her mana costs. So now her skills will take a lot more mana. Moving on, okay, it seems like we are past the mages. And well, this seems like a lot of reworks for the mages. It looks like they're planning something to change in the mid lane. Moving on to our fighters, Phoveus has a strong in early and mid game but struggles late game, so we increase his late game potential. His tankiness got increased because of the magic damage based on target HP, and shield based on max HP goes up. So damage and HP and shield or tankiness goes up. Phoveus is probably gonna be a bit viable now, especially with how sustain heavy our XP lane is looking. Hilda, on the other hand, optimized visual effects, so at least you know which skill is active or an enhanced attack is active. Glue got nerfed because he is particularly sticky, pun intended, and very hard to deal with, like the gum under your shoe. So there. Freya got nerfed, but not necessarily nerfed. Oh, actually, it's a big nerf. From 60 to 120 to 40 to 80, now you really can't be playing or diving. You'd see Freya's being 1v4 or 1v3. Now we might be seeing Freya do a 1v2 at most because of that big change in the HP regen per basic attack when you're on your ultimate. From 60 to 120 to 40 to 80 is no joke. Saber so-so. Yi Sun-Shin, this is a big buff nerf. So the Mountain Shocker, wherein the turtle ship max duration is 15 seconds to 10 seconds. Now you have to be more wary you're now a bit more error prone if you fumble the cast of your ultimate. But enhanced basic attacks are now benefit from attack speed. So Yi Sun-Shin will probably feel less clunky. We are seeing him played in the gold lane, and that extra attack speed will let him spam his cooldown reduction a lot more. And I feel like that change will be making him more viable outside the jungle. So that's my take on Yi Sun-Shin. So that's it for all the heroes. I guess from the patch rundown, if we're looking at heroes, the mid lane got really affected. Aside from the mid lane, we're seeing slight changes in the different lanes, but Marcel is yet to be seen. And now let's move on to our battlefield adjustments, specifically the items first. Glowing Wand, so slightly increased its magic power bonus and reduced its HP bonus. Adjusted price to align with Sea Halberd. Okay. Ice Queen Wand, though not everyone picks this item up. Increased crowd control effects and reduce its magic power bonus. Internal cooldown per stack is from 1 second to 0.4 seconds. Okay. So you could slow a lot more now with Ice Queen 1. So you might be playing this a lot with Lilia, I guess. Enchanted Talisman got a buff. So equipping 10% cooldown reductions from talents and purchasing often leads 5% excess in cooldown reduction. Therefore, we have reduced the cooldown reduction, significantly increasing magic power. Okay. So for the changes are increases in magic power and the max HP is 300. This is gonna be a really good change, especially for Zetia, Navaria, the ones who pick Enchanted Talisman to put in their kit. And they changed up a bit the build path from Tome of Evil Magic Necklace to Book of Sages to Magic Wand now. So, okay. Moving on, Tome of Evil adjusted its attribute. So, now it's a 10% cooldown reduction. At least they took out that 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 slight chunk, I guess. They nerfed the regen and the magic power, but I'd say there are a lot more items that build up magic power and mana regen than there are cooldown reduction. So 2% goes a long way if you're gonna build the Tome of Evil. Holy Crystal got nerfed by minus 20 magic power, while Feather of Heaven got increased with 60. So the changes are necessary, I guess, because people would spam Holy Crystal like it's the god item, but it shouldn't be the case. You should have a choice between either going straight up magic power or magic power with added amplifications or effects. Concentrated energy, increased magic power as well. Starlium Sight as well. So we might be seeing the resurgence of the burst potential of Harith and other Starlium Sight builders. Dominance Ice. Increase the range of equipment's healing reduction effect. Reduce the hybrid range to match it. So the changes are, trigger range is from 5 units to 3.5. Life Bane is now reduces attackers' HP regen when taking damage. 2. Reduces HP regen of enemies within 3.5 units. So now you don't have to be attacked by a certain person or a certain hero to trigger Life Bane. It's back to an aura. So when that's the case, at least even when the gold laner chooses not to hit you, they will still have reduced lifesteal or HP regen, especially when you are the type of tank that sticks beside these gold laners or these marksmen. Moving on, Oracle removed the slightly reduced equipment shield and regen effects from 30% to 25%. At least now it's become more situational than a core item. Guardian Helmet improves survivability against burst damage, which is very much needed. Not a lot of people know about the tech of Guardian Helmet, but with this increase, hopefully people start building it a lot more, especially against burst type lineups. And moving on, that's it for the items. So a little bit of changes in the damage reduction and the mid lane items. Moving on, Fighter Emblem. The Fighter Emblem was too versatile, so we reduced its attack bonus. Yeah, because if you guys seen a lot more, there are certain gold laners who would go for Fighter Emblem because of the lifesteal it gives. The adaptive attack, though, it's not gonna change it. Lifesteal is still lifesteal. It's still gonna be really good on the marksman. But the adaptive attack is a pretty big blow because that is a less 6 damage early game. While there's the trade-off wherein Marksman Emblem, it makes you decide. So, okay, so if you want lifesteal, you go Fighter. If you want straight up damage as a marksman, you go for the Marksman Emblem, because now it does 5% adaptive penetration. So I think this is Moonton's way to balance that, if you're a marksman, you should stick to marksman emblems, but we'll wait and see, because I feel like chances are we might be seeing assassins run the marksman emblem now, but we never know. Moving on, battlefield adjustments. Range minion lost 100 HP, so affecting, or as I mentioned, the clear time of some mid lane heroes tend to be slower. But now with this change, we might be seeing slight changes so that we could see more early game rotations with our mid lane hero pool. And other adjustments, not much. But there you guys have it. That is the Marcel patch. Those are my first read. That was my first read through, deep read through. And I guess my take from this, how will the meta look like moving forward? My 3 points would probably be Marcel will probably not be a contested pick early game. early on in the series or in the season. So Marcel's not gonna be an early pick during the season. He's not gonna be contested. The mid lane meta is gonna be a lot healthier. A lot of people, there are a lot more heroes to pick from. The attribute changes, the balances. It means a lot more mid heroes will become viable again. And last but certainly not the least, we're seeing a lot more changes in the early game, a lot more buffs in the early game. So we might be looking at earlier ending games, because last season we were seeing 20-minute games, a lot of games happening after the Evolve Lord. So we might be seeing 15-minute game tops, or chances are we might be swinging or leaning towards early game finishes. So yeah, with that being said, this was the first episode of MIGGY. And I'm Miggy again, MIGGY. It's kind of hard to keep saying that, but yeah, this is gonna be the first episode of that series where we take a deep breakdown or deep dive into patch notes, into games, the competitive aspect of games. So if you guys like this type of content, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. My social medias links are down in the description box. And again, it's Miggy, and I'll catch you guys next time.